All right. I think we are ready. If you're coming into this on the replay, just appreciate you um, participating. Today, we're going to be doing another lunch and learn. And I do apologize. I've kind of been out of rhythm the last month, trying to get kind of back into the swing of things. We've had a lot of life changes with my work and with my family. And so yeah, I haven't been able to devote a lot of time to the channel and producing or writing videos, producing videos, editing them. And so I'm kind of thinking about switching to do more live streams. So maybe doing once a week until I get through some of these adjustments and transitions. And so today I want to focus on the contacting the present moment and using our ACT skills to do that. And I've been using this quite a bit with clients the last maybe last 2 weeks or so. And I thought, we should really focus in on using skills since it kind of touches on all the 6 core processes of ACT. The only time that we can act is in the present moment. We can't act in the past, can't act and do things differently yesterday, and we can't act and do things tomorrow until we get there. So we're kind of putting things in the queue and hoping that by tomorrow or whenever that future is, that we'll be able to act then. And so we really have to hone our willingness and hone our committed action and use it in the present moment. Now, present moment is a concept that you may be familiar with. We use it quite a bit that we want to be here and now. We want to really enjoy and soak in the present moment. Maybe we want to be here with our family or whoever's in front of us. And yet we don't really break it down and understand what's all going on in the present moment. And so I want to use our time today to kind of discuss this, and hopefully you'll learn something. Hopefully I'll learn something as we go through this. So if you're joining this, go ahead and comment throughout. I'll try to respond to those. But I'm just going to kind of use this as a time for those that are on the replay to understand what contacting the present moment looks like and how to use this both in session as well as in our life. So whether you're a counselor or you're a client or you're just interested in acceptance and commitment therapy, this is a channel to learn that. And so we're just going to be practicing the skills. And I'm going to go at this kind of like you're a beginner or haven't really had much experience with mindfulness, as well as kind of touch on some more advanced concepts too. So first, let's practice being mindful. And so I want you just to get comfortable where you're at. And we're just going to do a quick hand to feet to heart exercise. And I really like to use this to introduce mindfulness to those that have never experienced it. And then I want to kind of talk about what it means to point our attention. And I'll use a really handy diagram here in a moment. So go ahead and put your feet down firmly on the ground. Make sure that they're contacting those. And make sure you're in a comfortable, noise-free, distraction-free environment. And I want you to go ahead and see if you can focus your attention on the palms of your hand. And so if you can, that's the top part here. Just see if you can focus your attention on the sensations on the top of the palms of your hands. You can go ahead and wiggle your fingers if you need to, just to try to bring your attention to the sensations on your hands. All right, once you're able to do that, I want you to go ahead and put them on your knees. And I want you to feel the sensations on your hand as they're making contact with your knees. So if you're wearing a fabric, see if you can feel the fabric. Feel the contact between your hands and the fabric. If they're touching your skin, feel the sensation of your hands making contact with your skin. Notice if you can distinguish if there's any temperature, if it's cool, if it's warm. What other sensations can you pick up? right, go ahead, and I want you to keep your hands rested on your knees, but I want you to point your attention to the bottoms of your feet. Okay? Now, this is something we do every day, but for this, I want you to see if you can really uh, feel out the sensations of your feet. So you can wiggle your toes to kind of bring your attention down there. And then I want you to kind of rock your feet back and forth from your toes to the balls of your feet and see if you can feel the bottoms of your foot. Notice what's making contact with your shoe and the floor and what's not making contact. See if you can feel the difference between your foot and the sock or shoe that's around it. Now I want you to push your feet just firmly into the ground, not too hard, but just enough to where you can feel some resistance and feel the firmness of the ground beneath you. All right, you can go ahead and release and relax. Now I want you to bring your attention to the right hand and the palm of your hand. And I want you to put it on your chest, just where your heart would be. And I want you to see if you can feel the sensations of the palm of your hand as it makes contact with your shirt or skin. Go ahead and take some breaths here and notice the rising and falling of your hand. Notice it rises and falls with each breath without you having to move it. Notice the sensations of your breath as it fills your lungs and lets out. See if you can feel any other sensations there. Is it warm? Is it cool? Is it rough? Is it smooth? Can you feel your heartbeat? Do you feel any other sensations there? Or you can go ahead and bring your hands to your knees, and we're going to conclude this present moment exercise. Now, as you're going through this, there were some different parts that I was asking you to do, some instructions I was giving you. And I want you to kind of report back or think through what you were experiencing at different parts. And ask yourself, was there anything that was difficult when you were doing this? Was there anything where you were distracted or pulled away from the attention that you were supposed to be giving? Was there anything that was new, novel, anything that was different? These are things that we ordinarily do, but we don't necessarily put our attention on it. I think when I'm in an environment like sand, I might wiggle my toes a little bit or might push my feet into the sand, but I don't typically just do that unless I'm instructed to do that. Was there anything about the feet that was interesting, that was new? Were you able to do all the parts? Or was there anything that was like blocked or you were not able to pick up? Just notice that too. There's no pass or fail with this. When you were feeling your heart, what was that sensation like to feel the rising and the falling of your breath? And were you able to pick up more subtle things like temperature or your heartbeat? I enjoy doing this exercise with clients because there is kind of a wow effect to this, that you learn to kind of get in touch with that awe of ordinary things. And so this is something I wanted to kind of set up to just get us a basis for understanding what the contact with the present moment is doing. It's pointing our attention to the here and now. Now, there's a diagram that I like to give clients, and usually I have like a whiteboard behind me, but I don't today. So what I do have is my tablet. And so I'm not going to write a bunch of words because I don't think that they're going to show up where you can see them. But I kind of want to draw this so you can get a good understanding of what this looks like. And this also is something that I want to give credit where credit's due. And this is from the book Mindsight by Dr. Daniel Siegel. Actually have it right here. So Mindsight, The New Science of Personal Transformation by Daniel J. Siegel. In this book, he goes over this wheel of awareness. And I'll show you what the wheel looks like. This looks like kind of like a bicycle wheel, that you might have had growing up, riding your bicycle, or maybe you currently ride your bicycle. It's just a wheel. And in the very center, there's a dot. And that dot is our self as context, or our observing self. It's the perspective that we have as we view everything around us, all the content that's going on. This could be feelings, thoughts, could be sensations, our body, really anything and everything that can be viewed. It's a seat in which we perceive everything else, or like a tripod in which we put a camera, a perspective. All right. So this is an ongoing process that we have with us from moment to moment. And so this is the present moment perspective. So it's right in the center. And then what he does is he talks about putting our attention, or pointing our attention on various aspects of our experience. All right. So we would kind of call this the outer wheel. And each of these points are like the spoke of a wheel. And so as I write this out for clients, what I'll do is I'll kind of put a few things here. First, I'll start with the past and the future. And so I might write out the conceptualized past or future, kind of how we remember it or how we want it to be. Man, this, I don't know, this is not showing up very well, but so past on one side, future on the other. And what I talk about is this past and future are where we can put our attention. And so sometimes with depressive symptoms, we'll ruminate over something and just kind of go over and over it, thinking that we can kind of resolve it, or at least maybe learn the lesson to put it into practice today. There's a work that our brain goes to. But with the wheel of awareness, it helps us to see how we're pointing our attention. We're putting the middle part into the outer rim of the past. And so this might be a past hurt, maybe a memory that we're going through and trying to pick out the pieces, or maybe a problem we're having in the present, but it reminds us of something that's occurred before. And in ACT, we talk about fusion, how we can get fused. And so that's kind of an idea of like pointing our attention, but it's kind of a different thing, because in this model, we're learning to point our attention to the content around us and how we can put our attention back in the middle, contacting the present moment, and then choosing where we want to point our attention next. So in depressive symptoms, it's more past ruminating that we might go towards. But in anxiety symptoms or an anxiousness, we tend to be future oriented. Like we're in the business of worrying, not just for the sake of worrying, but we're worrying so that we can hopefully prevent a disaster that might happen, such as preparing for an assignment or preparing for a presentation. We want to make sure that we're ready by the time we get there. And so we go about this future business of problem solving, of trying to plan, and our attention could be there instead of in the present moment. So in anxiety, we see an over-identification with this conceptualized future, or in depression, we see an over-identification in the conceptualized past, meaning we're trying to bring yesterday into today, or we're trying to bring tomorrow into today. And what are we missing out on? The present moment. And this is where we can start to see impairment in functioning and all sorts of issues with interpersonal relationships, work, functioning, sleep. All those things start to get interrupted because we're on our wheel. We are on the outer rim of past or future. Also on this is other things like relationships, body, Maybe it could be, I'm trying to think here, a feeling, right? We could have some feelings of sadness, that might pop up, might have feelings of fear. Those are also on the outer rim. Remember, it's everything that's like our internal content and chatter, even our thoughts. Our thoughts can be what we give our attention to. And all those things, while we're there, we're not in the present moment. All right. So this inner circle is our point of perspective. All right. And then on the outer rim, you can write out all the things that might be like internal contents. So the problems persist when things are just one directional. When our attention is just going outward to the outer rim. In ACT, what we're trying to do overall, the goal is to produce psychological flexibility. And all that is just learning the bidirectional of our perspective, of our, our awareness. That while it's true that I might get sucked into the past or future, I might get sucked into whatever's going on in my body right now. I got this heart that just keeps pounding, or my breath is really shallow. I might get sucked into those, but I can also go back inward and into that center and say, okay, this is what's going on in my body. What else is going on around me? And this is where we, through the present moment awareness and learning some mindfulness skills, where we can learn to have a fuller experience of saying, what else is out on my outer rim? What else is there that I can put my attention on? Now, I had a client the other day, I think, give a really, really interesting kind of question to me. And it's like, well, could that lead to avoidance strategies like distraction or escaping? And I get that, because now that it's bidirectional, could I use that to get out of something? Like maybe I don't want a feeling. I don't want to feel this hurt. I don't want to feel this sadness, or I don't want to feel this anger. So if it's true, it's bidirectional. Now maybe I could use that to get out of it. And while that's true, remember, you can always use control strategies to try to change your internal experiences. And even something like mindfulness, you could use it to try to avoid those things. But if we're using it for flexibility, then all this is doing is just giving us some options. We can choose in a lot of ways what we're going to place our attention on next. Now, I know that some people may interpret this a little differently, like maybe the avoidance of not wanting to be depressed might be one of them. But I think for some people, it's like, well, are you telling me I can just choose how I feel? That if I just think positively, then maybe I won't have to stay in a negative state of mind? Again, these are some of the questions that I get. And what I want to really emphasize is the whole goal here is to get this psychological flexibility back. And we can only choose in the present moment. Okay? We cannot choose what to do in the past, and we cannot choose always what's going to go on in the future. We just have right now. And this is where the point of contact is. I can act here, or I can act later. And so what is it that I want to do right now? And this is where we can start to talk about other processes like committed action, to say, okay, these are my values. These are what I feel is important to me. And these are on the outer rim. What do I want to focus on now? Now, let's just talk practically. Like, what does this look like? Well, if I'm at my son's basketball game, he's just turned 9 years old, playing with other 9-year-olds, and they have like a lowered hoop, so you can at least try to make it. And let's say I'm there and I'm watching him, trying to play his best and put out a lot of effort. My attention is on what? My attention is on watching my son at the basketball game. That's part of my outer rim. That's the present moment. That's where my body exists. It's where my tripod of my perspective is. And then I am pointing my attention to what my son is doing. But I can also be somewhere else. Okay. In my mind, I could be on a work situation. Maybe I'm thinking of a client that told me some suicidal thoughts and I'm maybe a little bit worried about that client. Well, that can sneak in right at that moment while I'm at the basketball game watching my son, and everybody else, if they looked at me, they would see that my attention is on my son and watching. But behind my eyelids, there's a whole nother contact that I'm making, and it's not in the present moment. It's in a past conversation I was having with the client, and also maybe a future, like what do I say to that client the next time that I see them. So that's a practical situation where I need to practice some flexibility. Okay, so in that situation, I have my rim, I'm here in the middle, and I can either put my attention on the present moment and watch my son and enjoy the game, or I can stay stuck in this past and present and this problem solving kind of state of mind. I need flexibility in those moments. And that's where the practice of mindfulness can help. So, what I would do in this situation, as I'm sitting there and I'm noticing I am noticing myself thinking about this client, I'm noticing myself worrying. I notice that I'm not enjoying and just being here watching my son. What else is on? What else am I missing here? What else is in my experience? A way that I put this with clients is that whatever you highlight, you hide. Okay. So, for example, like if I highlight this book, all right, and I start talking about this book, your attention is going to be here. What you're not seeing is this beautiful picture behind me of this, nice scenery of a beach and waves and nice scenery. You're also maybe not paying attention to the other books that might be behind me. Whatever we highlight also has the ability to hide other parts of our experience. This is why it's really important to understand this concept of pointing our attention, because whatever we point our attention to will also start to hide other things. All right. So we can't stay anywhere on that wheel. We need to get back to the center, and that'll give us more versatility to start saying, well, what else am I missing? And if I am at that basketball game, what I could do is mindfully put my feet on the ground, push my feet into the court. Maybe I might move my feet around and hear the squeaking of my shoe. I might move my toes around and kind of feel what that's like. I might take a breath and smell maybe the BO of the other kids or the parents next to me, or might smell popcorn from the concession stands. If I listen, I might hear the basketball, bouncing, or the coaches yelling, the parents cheering their kids on. I might notice this kid beside me who's playing, like not even paying attention to the game. She's just drawing and playing with her dolls. All right. I can come back to the center and notice my surrounding. And don't you see how that gives us a fuller experience of the present moment? And don't you see how that gives us some flexibility to say, okay, now what do I want to put my attention on next? Okay. But the only way we're able to do that is to get this flexibility back, to get back to the center and to be able to place our attention on what is important. Now, I said at the outset that contact with the present moment ties in with all the other 6 core processes. And so whenever we're talking about another process, we're also talking about this contact with the present moment, because the only time that we can act is in this present moment. So it's really important to understand what is involved with the contact with the present moment, how to access it through mindfulness skills. Now, mindfulness skills are not just some Eastern religious practice of meditation. It's not just like yoga and moving your body in different positions. It's accessing the present moment through our five senses and also noticing our thoughts and our feelings and observing what is going on. Okay, we call it mindfulness, but it's really being fully there, noticing what is around us. Now, I want to end here with I think a, um, I think it's really neat. It's a mindfulness visualization, and again, it's in this book, Mindsight by Dr. Daniel Siegel. Excuse me. And it involves us first visualizing a calm scenery of being on a beach. Okay, so I want you to go ahead, if you're willing, go ahead and close your eyes. I'll go ahead and close my eyes too. And I want you to visualize yourself being on a calm beach. It's a nice, beautiful day, and you're there sitting about maybe 20, 30 yards from the water. And you're watching these waves come in gently. As you're noticing this, you're noticing how bright the sand is glistening with the sun. You're noticing that there's really nobody else on this beach. Somehow you came to this beach where nobody else knew. It was so beautiful. And as you're looking out, you're seeing the dark blue water, and you're seeing the sun hit off the the waves. You're also noticing some sounds of just the waves hitting the shore. And as you're noticing this, I want you to visualize yourself standing up. And as you stand up, as you're shifting your weight, you're putting your feet in the sand. I want you to notice just what that sensation might be like of putting your feet firmly in the sand. Now, I want you to walk casually toward the water. I want you to visualize the waves coming in, noticing the sound of each wave crashing as you're slowly walking towards the water. As you get to the water, I want you to stand still, and I want you to notice the water just gently crashing on your feet. Notice that cool sensation around your feet. Notice the sand is now wet and your feet are fully immersed in it. I want you to go further out, and I want you to begin to walk in the water, noticing the waves are very shallow today and not shifting your weight at all. As you go further, you notice up to your knees now that the water feels great, feels cool, feels refreshing, and it begs you to go further in. I want you to go a little further. Keep walking out. And now, as you're walking out, it's covering your waist, and now it's up to your shoulders. And in this exercise, I want you to go even further, but you're going to have to go in, continuing to breathe, and we're going to defy oxygen here. I want you to continue to go out until you are about halfway uh, floating in the water. So notice that your body above the water is just holding itself up, and your lower part is fully under the water. Now I want you to go under. We're going to go deep. You're going to go deep, and you're going to look up, and you're going to notice the sun hitting the tops of the water, but I want you to go a little deeper. Go deeper until you are firmly under the water. I want you to notice your surroundings, how calm it is, how there's no waves, there's no sound, it's just peaceful and serene. Above the water, there was all sorts of things happening, all sorts of sounds of the wind and the waves, the birds, all the sounds up there, but beneath is just quiet and calm and serene. Nothing is disturbing. All right, I want you to go ahead and float up, and I want you to get your head above the water. You can breathe now, and I want you to begin to make your way towards the shore. Keep walking until your shoulders and your waist are no longer covered with water. Keep walking until you're knee high in it. and keep walking further until you're out of the water. Return to the place that you started, and I want you to sit down and you can open your eyes. All right. Now, in this exercise, it kind of invites you to fully experience what this would be like to be on the beach on a peaceful day. It invites you to kind of see your surroundings sensory wise, and it invites you to go a little further. Now, in this exercise, it has you at some different places of your experience. We're pointing your attention at different various parts of your experience until you're fully submerged. And in this way, you can kind of access this part of you that is peaceful, that is serene, that is not disturbed about whatever else is going on above it. And then you're reversing that and going back out. This is kind of what is meant by this accessing this rim of awareness of all this content around us, this full experience, and being able to get to this place that you're not disturbed, this place of calm and peace. All right, this exercise is said differently in Mindsight, but I thought I would use it here because I think it just helps us to utilize this mindfulness in a way that we can then carry out into our day today. I really appreciate you guys joining me on this Lunch and Learn, and I hope to do these each week now. I'm kind of in a place in life where my heart is willing, but my schedule is weak. I only have so much time, and although I really enjoy this channel, I'm definitely thinking about different topics I can cover and continuing our series. I'm trying to keep my head above water in some areas, and so some of that's work related. I got a full schedule there, but also family related, and we recently have a new addition that we're watching for a couple months, child, and so just trying to navigate that as well as some other stressors. Other than that, I mean, I don't want to worry anybody. I'm doing great. We're the family's doing great. It's just been a little tricky the last few weeks as we've had a lot of scheduling things. So hopefully that'll clear up, and I can commit to being here present, for a Lunch and Learn. And so I'm thinking I'll do that. We'll try to keep it on Wednesdays at noon, but if it's another day, I'll put something out there, let everybody know. All right, I appreciate you guys joining this, whether it's live or the replay. Really appreciate you guys being a part of this community where we're learning, act, and learning to live mindfully. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.